Okay, good morning, community. This is Doreen Matthews from fpa-foundation. We are a human rights and civil rights organization for communities of color. And today I wanted to just have a brief conversation again about the child welfare system and how it's impacting black and brown communities. Pretty much, I don't know if you are aware that 70% of your prison system is former foster kids. Another thing is your homeless population. That's another percentage that's coming out of the foster care system. And you have a lot of aged out youths who are aging out to homelessness. We also have a lot of young girls that are being pregnant in foster care. And what they're doing is taking their children away from them and putting them up for adoption. So if you look at this systematic issue of how child welfare is impacting us as a whole, and especially black and brown communities, nationally, Child Protective Services has a serious problem. Every state you go to, there's the issue with CPS. They're violating the community's due process rights. They're taking our children, and they're getting federal money to do so. A lot of these children are being warehoused in residential facilities. They're putting children on psychotropic medication as young as 3 years old. It was a 3-year-old child. They had the child on 6 different psychotropic medications. Right now, we have a partnership with Citizens Commission on Human Rights. You can take a look at their website, and you'll find a lot of information about psychotropic medication and how it's impacting our communities, and especially children. Every time the child welfare system put a child on psychotropic medication, they get more funding. So what they're doing is they're misdiagnosing our children and saying they have ADHD. They're saying they have bipolar. They're saying they're schizophrenia just so that they can get more money. You could do the research on this. Right now, I think in California, they're doing electric shock treatment on children that's 5 years old, and those children are in foster care. So there's a lot of experimenting going on children in the foster care system. And especially once they terminate the parents' rights, these children become a ward of the state. This is why I'm contacting you, community, to try to get you involved with my organization so that we can fight for this vulnerable population. They can't fight for themselves, okay? They're going to need us, people from the outside, advocating for them and fighting for policy changes and holding these people accountable. We need transparency and we need accountability from Child Protective Services workers, from the Health and Human Services Commissioner, from the Mayor, Bill de Blasio. We really have to hold these people accountable because when it comes to child welfare, nobody wants to do anything about it. The discrimination that's taking place right now in New York City foster care system is a crying out shame, okay? And this is taking place because majority of these children in foster care are black and brown children. So this goes back to racial disproportionality. But even though the mayor claims that ACS has majority of black workers, still it's the workers that are abusing their power of authority over the people that's supposed to be helping. It's systematic institutional racism going on with our own people, toward our own people. So until we stand up and address this issue, you know, these kids and these families are going to keep falling through the cracks. If we want to improve the future for our children, these children that's in foster care, remember, when they get out and be released at 21, mentally they're not going to be ready. Psychologically, they're going to be damaged because they medicated them up. And most of them don't make it anyway. From foster care, they go right into the prison system. Look at the juvenile detention system right now. You'll see it's full of young men that was in the foster care system. Nobody wants to tell you these things. They're going to sugarcoat this picture and make it seem like they're doing such a fabulous job. But at the end of the day, this is systematic racism, institutional racism that's taking place over our black and brown children and our families. So I ask you to get involved. Check out my website, www.fpa-foundation.org. We have a YouTube channel with 300 videos that people are sharing their testimonies. We even got foster parents. There are some good foster parents that's doing it for the right reasons. How they target them and took the child out of their home because they're advocating for services. A lot of good foster parents, they'll tell you that what they're doing is when you advocate for the child, they close your home and they target you. I am a foster parent. I fostered 13 kids. I adopted my nephews, so I'm pretty much aware of how this system works. And it doesn't work in the favor of good people. They don't want you advocating for these kids. This sounds disturbing, but it's the truth. This is why I constantly go out in the community and I get the stories from the community so you can hear from them firsthand what the system is doing to them and how this systematic racism is impacting black and brown communities. So right now we're going to be starting our human rights child welfare campaigns. We're going to have this in the 5 boroughs, and we're asking the community, if you have been impacted by the child welfare system nationally or in New York City, we're asking you to come forward. Contact us, 646-402-6133. We need for you to come forward, share your story with us so that we can do these testimonies at the United Nations and we can try to get some resolutions to these problems. But we can't continue just being silent. Again, your taxpayer dollars is paying for administration for children's services and child protective services. So you have every right to question these agencies about what are they doing to these children and families, especially when you see abuse. These are human rights abuses that are taking place toward poor people. Just because somebody's poor, you're going to penalize them, and you're going to label them and stigmatize them because they're poor. You know, what you need to be doing is providing more preventive services to these families. But what they decided to do is they put the ASFA law, the Adoption and Safe Family Act, 15 to 22 months to terminate a parent's rights. So you rather give money to terminate a parent's rights, but not money to reunify? So explain to me, what type of system is this when the system doesn't even work for reunification? It's all about separating poor black families. So we need to step up and do something about this. I'm going to keep sharing these educational videos, and I'm going to do a breakdown of different things that are taking place right now in this child welfare system. Stay blessed, and if you have an issue or you're impacted by CPS or ACS and you got questions and concerns and you need support, reach out to FPA Foundation. We're here to help you. We're here to fight for you. And like I said, we will not be silent. Our voices will be heard. Enjoy your